Good morning, Plussers, and welcome to the TGIF Business Networking Hangout. I'm your host, Melanie MacDonald, Brand Identity and Social Outreach Strategy Consultant. I forgot my line for a minute there. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a great episode. We have as our guest a young man by the name of Carl Hamlet, and he is the creator of a really handy app called Do You Even List? And if you are a Twitter user, this is a really great app that you might want to learn about. What it does is it creates a list of your top connections on Twitter. It creates a list weekly so that you can go in and see who are the people interacting with you most and create a list of those people that when you go to Twitter, you can look at their stuff first and make sure you're interacting back with them, which is really nice for building those relationships and making them strong and keeping them healthy. So, Carl, why don't you please come on and introduce yourself? Let us know what your background is, how you got into the programming, and what made you decide that you wanted to create this app. Do you even list?
Okay, hello. So I'm Carl. I'm a English software developer, but I'm currently living in Sweden. I got into coding pretty much just from my bedroom. I just decided that I needed a job with some skills and some career paths, so I started coding from my bedroom, and that led to the jobs. And I've had various jobs in startups, and here I am now with Do You Even List? And this is my side project that I like to work on out of hours. That's
And
me,
so
really.
what was it that kind of made you decide to go with Do You Even List? Is it that you're a big Twitter fan and you were like, gee, I wish there was something that did this, and there wasn't anything that did this already?
Yeah, well, I actually my initial plan was to get into Twitter. I thought if I had a sizable audience on Twitter, then the next time I create a side project, I'd be able to share it with the audience and say, hey, look what I made. And to do that, I started utilizing my skills as a programmer, and I started making some tools just to make me a better Twitter user, really. First of all, I made something that would scan through Twitter and find the most popular content for my own interests at any time. So I always had content to share with people then. And then my next tool was to expand my audience. I coded a little app that would find credible people and interesting people to follow with the likelihood that they would follow me back. Um, and then through that, as my audience grew, my news feed, because I was following so many people, all of a sudden was quite noisy. It had become a lot less relevant. And because of that, I decided to rely on lists, which is a very undervalued Twitter sort of feature. I was making my lists and maintaining them, and maintaining a Twitter list isn't the easiest thing in the world. And it was around about then that I came to the conclusion that, hey, there should be a list that always just has my favorite Twitter people in, and hence Do You Even List was born.
So does your first app still exist?
I still use them privately, but they're harder to turn into a public sort of tool.
Okay.
My plan is to integrate those tools into Do You Even List,
Okay.
in the future.
So Do You Even List is pretty new.
Yeah, Do You Even List was there's a tweet from maybe like the end of May, and it's just my frustration saying there should be a list that just has all your favorite people in, and it should be automatic. And maybe a couple of hours after that is when I started writing the first lines of code for this
Oh,
little
wow.
tool. Yeah, it's
I didn't know it was that new.
yeah, it was really very new. It wasn't even ready one of my friends posted it onto Product Hunt, and through that, when it got like 800 to 900 sign-ups in maybe 2 days from being on Product Hunt. So
Wow.
48 hours, and it was a unfinished tool that I was using for myself to a tool with 1,000 people all eager to, have this list. So it was a pretty exciting time, really.
Wow. So I guess it's a handy tool. I know that I first saw you tweet about it just in my stream in Twitter only a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
And I went and checked it out and found it really handy. So I signed up and I started using it, and I love it. It's great. So I can see why it's so popular. You just kind of found a need and went and did it. Now, before that happened, did you have any thoughts of, this is what I want to do. I'm going to create this app. Somehow I'm going to monetize it, and this is how I'm going to create my income? Or it just kind of started happening after you created it, and now you're like figuring out what to do from here?
Yeah, it's a little case of both. Like, the reason I wanted to get into Twitter is because I do have a goal of creating something and maybe turning it into a business or a startup. Um, and that was my whole desire, to get better at Twitter, to have grow an audience, and have people to share whatever I create. It just turned out to be the thing I shared with everyone was really entwined into what I was doing on Twitter. Um, yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome. So before we go on, if anybody is out there watching and you want to come in, I'm not able to send as many invites out as I used to because, Google, they change things a lot, and my circles are now too big for invites. If you'd like to come in, there is a link in the comments underneath the video. Please click that link and you can come on in. That's the way to get in. If anybody has any questions, you are free to join us. TGIF is also a networking, hangout, not just an interview hangout. And everybody is welcome to come in, introduce themselves, let us know what's happening in your world too. So hi, Jim. Jim just joined us. We'll give him a few minutes to get settled in before we have him introduce himself. Whenever you're ready, unmute your microphone and we'll get to you. Okay, Carl, back to you. And do you even list? So is there anything else that you want to tell us before we start showing the audience the screen share and showing them how it works?
I I don't think so. Like, that is sort of the story of the Even List. It's really new. And like you said earlier, I am still trying to figure out how to turn this into some sort of business, something that can you know take the place of the day jobs. At the moment, I am very open to feedback from people, and I'm on a journey of just learning about what I can do to make this successful, really.
And at the moment, it's free to sign up. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it's free to sign up, and as you start adding features, you will figure out how you are going to monetize those. Like there might be a free version and a pro version down the line. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. They'll always be free. Do You Even List will always be free. I do have the idea of making premium features as a way to be able to grow this product out into something much wider in scope and in quality as well.
Okay. Well, let's get into the screen share then and start showing people what Do You Even List is. And if you'd like to go there and create your account, the URL is doyouevenlist.co. Okay. And we're going to have Carl share his screen, and he has graciously signed out so that it will be like he's starting anew. So when you first get there, there's the screen.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
We can.
Awesome. So this is the Do You Even List landing page. It's worth bearing in mind that I am not really a designer. I'm an all-round type of developer, so it might look a little plain and simple.
That's good, though.
Obviously,
We like plain
yeah,
and simple and easy to
yeah,
use.
yeah, exactly. Maybe that helps me, in this situation. So on the front page, we got a few little screenshots to try and help give you a feel for what the app is, and also we have these bullet points that explain a little bit about what this service does. As we've mentioned, it creates and maintains a Twitter list of your top friends on Twitter, the people who are giving you the most focus and the most interaction. They are all in this list with the idea that you can, build upon those relationships, and also, if they're interacting with you, then it's probably good for you to interact with them as well. Um, so, should I go? Should I go and log in, sign in?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right what you said. If they're interacting with you, it's good for you to go and interact with them. And I've actually been using the list to do that.
Yeah, I've made a lot more friends on Twitter through having a one-off conversation with someone. They will pop into my list for a couple of weeks, and therefore I keep seeing their tweets, and it sparks a lot more conversation to the point where you think you found a friend, a Twitter friend, really, and they'll stay in that list then.
Now we can see your email address. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah. Oh
Uh-oh.
no. Uh-oh. Let me go onto the live one. I'm on a demo one at the moment. Let's try that again with the real thing. I'll just have to delete my live account.
You know what? Don't delete your account
Too
because
late.
once they sign up, they're going to be at that other page.
It's
And
okay now. It's just been done. But I do this constantly on a daily basis, because I'm testing so many things. This is just a regular occurrence for me. Sign up, delete, sign up.
okay.
Just help. It's just a process I go
So
through.
Life of a Developer live on TGIF.
Oh no. No, no, no. What is going on? No.
Well, how about if I share mine and people can see
Yeah,
my list?
yeah, okay.
Okay.
I
So
think
turn your screen share off and I'll turn mine on.
as I broke my version, um, it's always the way.
Okay. So are you seeing mine up there now?
I can, yes.
Okay. So once you sign in, basically this is where you get to. This is the dashboard.
Yes, after the sign up process.
Okay. And I'm going to create new list. This is a little bit new.
Yeah, the new list is, I should explain that because you won't know about this, because this is why my machine is broke at the moment, because I'm at this point of building this ability to make multiple lists. And these new lists are more targeted to marketers at the moment.
Okay.
And the idea is, if you could say there's someone on Twitter that you would like to become friends with for whatever reason, maybe you would like them to, sell a product to them or something. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to communicate with a certain person. Well, I'm hoping this list is a way to get that valuable information. So, you can contact them more organically than just sending them a automated direct message or something along those lines.
Okay.
With this, you will see all their top friends, and with that, you'll have the list, and you can see all of their conversations. Therefore, giving you, it opens the door to jumping in on those conversations and making a relationship through more genuine sort of communication.
And that's very cool. And just anybody who's watching, just so you know, this is different than when it was last week when I signed in because Carl's been working on it. so
Yeah.
so this is a little new to me too, and this is wonderful. I'm getting like the lesson. Okay, so this is my Twitter handle I'm putting in here.
No, put in a target. It's like a person you'd like to know who their friends
Okay.
are.
I'll put in you.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully this works because this has only been live maybe 30 hours. So it's in the background. It's doing
Okay.
these sort of thing that it would when you signed up. There we go. So now
Okay.
you have a list about me, and you can click into either your own list or the list about
Oh,
me.
okay. I was like, how do I get to my list? All
Yeah,
right.
it's just behind those buttons.
So this is great because we can show the difference between my list and your list. I don't have that big a presence on Twitter, and I probably only have about 10 people that I regularly interact with yet.
Yeah.
That regularly also interact back. I mean, I interact with a lot of people, and a lot of people interact with me, but it's a lot of one-offs and two-offs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these are ones that I have more regular conversations with, right?
Yes, it is. It's you may see people if this is your list of top friends on Twitter, you will see people in there that maybe you retweet a lot or you favorite, but the people at the top of the list will be the people that you have communication with, conversations over Twitter. They get more points and are always top of your league.
Well, I hear you're mentioning points, and I'm looking here, and it says points, and in the list, it shows status, check mark, points, and settings. What does the status mean?
Um, okay, so if it's a tick, it means they are in your Twitter list. You can force remove people from the list. Maybe you've had a problem with your mobile phone provider, so you were tweeting them.
Okay.
They would score highly in your list, but not necessarily someone that you want in your list. You don't want to see their tweets,
Okay.
and that's where you can remove that user. And you
By
know,
clicking on here?
it's on the settings.
Oh, okay. So that's
Yeah,
what
if
the
you
settings are for.
yeah, and
Oh,
it
all right.
see the middle setting, which is the default, just means if they score above your limit, there's a points limit which you set. You can say only put people in my list if they score over 20 points.
Okay. And the default
And
is 10, correct?
yeah, the default is 10. And as we just saw, then you have the option to either force remove someone from the list so they'll never be in the list ever again, and also force add people in the list, and that's
Okay.
for those friends who maybe they've gone on holiday or something and you haven't spoken to them for a while, but you would like them to remain in that list because they're a big interest to you.
Okay. So how are the points calculated?
Well, it's a sort of fine tuning of an algorithm, really. It changes quite frequently based on when someone tells me that there's someone they don't want in their list. Like I said earlier, every person gets points for sort of every interaction with you. Less points for a favorite or a retweet, and more points for a conversation. So those people you're talking with on a daily basis, or every couple of days, they get a lot more points than people that you just frequently retweet.
Okay. So in this list here, as an example, you are number one, and uh, Ioana,
Yeah.
Ioana, she's Greek, so I always stumble a little on her name. She's number two. Now, she is a connection of yours, and because I hosted a blab last week with you on it, you and I and she have been talking quite a lot on Twitter for the past couple of weeks, so you guys are at the very top.
Yeah.
And Lost Unicorn Gallery, she was my guest on my last TGIF. When Charles, she is someone, she's everywhere. I talked to her, but we moved down here, and for example, this Paul Stephen, I didn't know him or connect with him probably till just a few days ago, and he made a tweet about Toastmasters, and I watched Toastmasters tweets, and he said something really funny, and I said something back, so it was a brand new conversation. There's not like a big long thread the way there is with you and Joanna. So I can see how this is working. Oh, the scoop, he was in or I was in his blab, actually. So yeah, I can see how that's working. A lot of these are just a couple of tweets back and forth, and the ones at the top are the ones that I've been tweeting back and forth with most often.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk now about this list thing. Here's my list on Do You Even List? But what does it do on Twitter? This shows up on Twitter too? So let me go to
yes.
Twitter and hope that I'm signed in to the right account. Oh, what's my password?
My Twitter doesn't look like that. It must be because I'm in Europe. I haven't got that new screen.
Oh, Okay, so now if I go to my profile, and here it shows lists. I'm going to click on that. And there's my lists. Do you even list target Carl Hamlet? Oh, there's the one I created with you as the target, and that's private, so it's not showing to other people.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
This one does show to other people, so if somebody comes and looks at my profile and my list, they'll see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will be able to see that. The targeted user ones are private because I think almost like small businesses and marketers might like that list.
Right.
And they probably don't want the targeted user to know that they're being targeted, to sort of make that connection. So that's why those ones are private.
And now if I click on this, do you even list top Twitter friends? What's so nice about this is I'm getting a tweet stream that is filtered to just those people in my list. It makes it easy for me to go through here and say, oh, these are the people that are interacting with me the most, so these are the ones that I want to prioritize and interact with the most in return.
Yes.
Now I do see something here where I might want to say, don't add this to my list, and do you even list this Pitone Toastmasters, which I love them because they retweet my stuff, but they retweet a lot of stuff. So as I'm going through my list, you can see that this whole entire list so far is all just retweets by Pitone Toastmasters. So I might want to filter out of those, create a separate list with just them, so that I can get to all the other people in this list and interact with them, and then go into the Pitone list and interact with, just favorite all of their retweets and see who they're retweeting and other Toastmasters that I want to connect with. So this is kind of a nice working example of another reason why I might want to create a list for someone else specifically, and why I might want to set the setting for them to be don't ever show in my top 10 list.
Yeah, exactly. The algorithm can only do so much. Sometimes it will work perfectly for your own needs, and that's why there's the option to remove people and add people.
Right. So this is nice. There's Anthony.
You can actually see the live tweet list in Do You Even List as well. You don't have to go to Twitter. If you click on the left to My List stream, now it's going to take a little few moments to load up.
Oh, can I interact with them here too? Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, this is awesome.
And so on the left you have the live stream, so any new tweets that are incoming will be right there. The middle column is actually anything that you might have missed. This is the most popular tweets in this list in maybe the last 200 tweets or so.
Okay.
And you can see there with my tweet, which is at 21 retweets, that's a popular tweet. So it's just almost giving you a catch-up service in case you need it.
Well, shifting to
And
a 6-hour workday is popular. We have proof. Shorter workdays, more popular.
yeah, I'm all for them, especially as I live in Sweden. And the third list is a little bit of an experiment that I'm running at the moment. This has looked through the list of tweets and figured out the keywords.
Okay.
And this is just the best tweets in the whole of Twitter for these keywords. And is with the idea that you might find tweets in here or content and articles that you'd like to share yourself.
Now,
You know,
when you
so
say keywords, keywords based on what? Keywords like it looks through, because this is for me, does it look through my tweets and see what words I use a lot or something?
yes, it does, yeah.
Okay.
So it'll try and figure out what you like to talk about and then show you tweets, you know, tailored to
Okay.
your needs. It's a work in progress. It's more of one of my little experiments that I'm
Right.
doing.
Well, I can see
Um,
because it's business and I put business in a lot of my tweets.
yeah,
So,
so it's working okay
yeah.
then.
And that's neat. It's even bringing in stuff in French and Russian. That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of my experiments. That when I need to fix that, I need to figure out which language is applicable and filter out any languages you may not understand.
Well, this is, I can see that it works because, oh, and K-pop. I love K-pop. So, picked up on that.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
good because
Okay.
sometimes because it's so new, that keyword thing. Sometimes it brings back good results and sometimes not so good results. So it needs a bit more work to it, but it's a good start.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can look through it and I can already tell that it picked up on some of my words, which business and K-pop. So, now
Yeah.
what is view in Twitter? Does that just take me to
That
Twitter?
Yeah, that takes
Okay.
you to the screen you were just on, just in
Okay.
case you'd rather be
All right.
there.
And then added shows people who were added since the last update.
Yeah.
Removed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an interesting point, isn't it? That maybe some people you no longer talk to,
All right.
a
So
fleeting friend.
I want Pamela Zeman to always be in my list. I'm going to go into settings
Yeah.
and click always add to list. And I want my District 12 Toastmasters always added to list.
Yeah.
Okay. So now they will, from here on in, always be added to the list, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And remained, these are people. Now
Yeah,
Rock
these are.
Sandy, I always want her. That's my BFF, but she's brand new to Twitter. She only has like 7 tweets out. I want to see them all. Okay. And missed out are people who scored just below. They still scored, but they scored below the minimum that I want to see at the top of my list.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Um, this is a great area to add people like maybe Win Kelly Charles as a friend. So, they didn't quite reach your scoring target, but you'd like them in the list anyway. And
Right.
this is a great place to find those people. I constantly look in here just for
Yeah.
interesting people that aren't making the cut just yet, but I'd like them to.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. All right. There's the formula guy. He came into our blab and had some great advice.
Yeah, yeah,
All
he
right.
did.
Awesome. And settings down here, receive list update emails. So it sends an email to me whenever the list is updated and lets me know, go check it. I can change the
Hmm.
score here.
Yeah, this is the score needed for someone to be added to the list.
Okay.
Um, it defaults to 10 sometimes, but if you have a lot of interactions, it will try and figure out a good score for you. Because if you've got 200 people who score above 50 points, then, a score of 10 isn't a great score.
Right.
So, it will adjust it. It'll try to adjust it to a good level for each user.
And
Yours
then
is,
I notice here on the days between list updates, this is where this is where it goes into a premium feature, because it's set at 7, but if I want to try to change it, oh, it's not even letting me now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think seeing this demonstration shows you how I'm working at the moment, with my limited spare time. You can see constantly that it's rough around the edges, with one developer having to do every single aspect of this app. You
Oh, I
can
think it's great.
you can often see just little things that aren't quite right, or they're not working because over the last 2 days I've decided, to build something extra, which inevitably breaks something else. I'd like to get up to a point where it's more structured, and I think I will get closer to that. But at the moment, it can be a little bit hit and miss to how everything looks and how everything works.
Okay. Well, before we go on and look at the stream that it generated for you, I would like to ask the audience out there, oh, there she is. She came in to see if she has any questions. And Jim, you've been sitting patiently, so let's start with you. And please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jim Alt. I'm currently in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm very interested in how this Twitter thing even works. I mean, I know what Twitter is, but I'm not an avid user of Twitter. And so this is a learning experience for me, and I think so far everything looks really cool. Looks great. Hello, Carl. Good to see you.
Hi.
Nice. Do you have any questions?
Sheila.
Well, actually, let's let Sheila introduce herself first, then we'll go to questions. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. And I have to tell you that my freeze dryer worked like a charm.
Oh, man, I know. I'm jealous.
Apples, bananas, plums are like candy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm from Utah. And yes, I use Twitter, but not very often.
No, and are you thinking about using it more?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of interested on what this list, I know people have added me to lists, and I'm going, oh, well, okay.
Right.
This kind of list you put me in, why?
Right. So now, actually, that brings up a question for me, Carl. If other people are adding you to their lists,
Yes.
all that means is they are organizing what they want to see, and so they are giving you the compliment of considering you relevant enough to put you in their list. But it doesn't affect what you see, correct? Unless you go and join the list or take it into yours.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A list is a way to almost curate your own news feeds. And if you're added to a list, it's just saying that, you're going to be in this person's feed on this list. And it's a great way to organize your Twitter. Maybe if you follow some things because you're interested in sport and some things you're following because you're interested in business, then maybe the home page of Twitter, where there's a mix of both, can be a bit distracting. So you would make two lists to, put all your sports in one side and put all your business sort of people on the other side.
Okay. And so for translating that into Google folks, it's like creating a circle on a topic and adding all the people that post about that topic into that circle, and then choosing that circle to look at their posts. So it's just organization, which is really nice.
They'll be seeing all the posts you post anyway, so it's like, okay. So it's like,
right. But it kind of weeds it out from, well, not weeds it out. I shouldn't say weeds it out because that's not correct. It pulls it out of the stream. In their regular home stream, they'll see everything. But when they're looking at their list, they'll see just the stuff from the people they put in that list.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't use the news feed, the home page of Twitter anymore. I rely solely on the lists. I have my Twitter friends list. I have the actual people I know list, and I have sort of sports list. So I flick between multiple Twitter feeds rather than just having one centralized jumble of everything that I'm interested in. That's how I use them.
And that's kind of nice. It's kind of a time management tool, really, when you think about it, because you need to set aside time, say, to do all your business tweets, and set aside time to do your fun stuff, so that you're not spending so much time just looking at your regular stream and getting everything. Now,
Good.
Can lists be imported into Hootsuite? And you know what? I'm wondering if that's even... Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Answer that. I'm like thinking.
I'm sure that they can. I primarily use TweetDeck, so I don't have much knowledge of Hootsuite at the moment, but I can imagine that they have a lot of features. I know it's a really big tool and a really widely used tool, so I would say that there's definitely will be some functionality for lists in there.
And the list, they can be imported into TweetDeck?
Yes, they can. That's how. If you don't know what TweetDeck is, it's instead of just your home feed, you can have multiple all next to each other, and it's in TweetDeck where I have my 4 or 5 lists that I'm interested in.
Okay. And it's similar to Hootsuite. They're both tools that help you organize and schedule your tweets to go out later if you want to, and things like that. So that's going to be my next thing, is I'm going to try and pull those lists into Hootsuite. And in Hootsuite, I've got columns next to each other, but I've done it by hashtags, where it's brought in conversations based on keyword elements. But if this seems to me like and this is what I'm going to be exploring. I think I'm going to be using, now that I've learned a little more about it, this Do You Even list a little more, and then seeing if I can import those lists into Hootsuite. So, because, we all know doing socials and keeping up with your socials, it's time consuming. So the more organized we can get and efficient we can get at it, the better.
Yes, I totally agree.
Now, before we go on, Jim and oh my God, Sheila, I just totally spaced your name for a minute. Do you have any other questions before we move on?
Oh, sure. I mean, I have a couple of questions right off. Okay, if you put together a group of people that are supposed to be doing things for you because you're doing things for them, you're all cooperating, you can create a list that says, are they really cooperating? Has it been 2 weeks since they even did anything for me, or what they're supposed to do? Or they're supposed to be talking about Shetland ponies because that's something that's important right now out on the internet, and they're waiting until next week. You go, well, but you're missing the social media buzz right now. You're not doing your job to help us get out there.
Jim's always thinking like project manager.
Well, yeah, that's what I am. Of course.
Yeah, that's a great point. What was the question?
Well. Okay. My question
really was... It was actually more an observation than a question, wasn't it, really?
Well, no. I was saying, are these lists something where you could put them together to, say, isolate the people that should be doing something to see if they're really doing it when they should? Because part of this social media thing is catching on to the hashtag or whatever while it's live and it's active and everybody's... And if you miss the wave, you're now tweeting on yesterday's news. Does the list have the potential of helping you? Are we riding the wave, or are we missing the wave?
Well, sure. You could put a list together of that is your project members. So, Carl, is there a way to create a list of people that you want to specifically put into the list? For example, I have 5 people I'm managing on a project. Can I make a list with those 5 people in Do You Even list?
Not in Do You Even list, I think, because you can create and maintain lists in Twitter directly. So you can do it there. You can make it, a highly specific list of people that you want. In terms of to try and see whether users are doing, what you'd expect them to do. With the Do You Even list, if they stop communicating with you, then they will drop out of the list, because that list primarily is about people who communicate. I guess you could, in theory, make a list which, people that are talking about startups, for example, and if they stop talking about startups, they will get taken from the list. I think that is a possibility to do something like that.
So I'm going back into Do You Even List now, and I am looking at the list that I created for you. So back on my dashboard, here's Carl's list. And this is showing your friends and the people that you're interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't show, wait, this list stream is, if I click here on the left, that's still my list. So we don't get a stream of what you're tweeting about, but we do get the list of the people that you're tweeting to.
You can actually click on that and see the list. It says my list screen because I haven't changed that yet. It's just because, it's less than a day old, this new feature. But on the left, that is not...
I can see what you're doing. So if I'm the project manager, I can create a list for each of the people in my project and go see what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
I have a question. This list I was thrown in was some kind of a business list. I don't do business. Can I take myself out of the list?
No, with Twitter being, public facing, really, people add you to lists and you don't really have any control over that.
Okay.
Well, you can just, I guess you'd have to contact the person directly and ask them to remove you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim, did you get the answers that you were looking for with that question?
Yeah, I know it's a development tool because I develop tools too, and I realize that this is a work in progress, and it may not really be refined for another 6 months or more because things keep changing as well. And when you're a part-time developer, you just really can't sit down and work through all of the possibilities. But this is the
we want them all tomorrow.
Pardon?
I said we want them all tomorrow.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but tomorrow never comes if you want to look at it that way. The idea is that a work in progress means there's possibilities, and you're thinking about this in a way that says, what can I do for my most immediate need? And I'm starting a couple business projects related to it. I'm going to include Twitter. And I know somebody else that has an app out there that's pretty well developed. This might dovetail with something else that's already out there. So it's very curious that this is coming about right now for me. And I'm going to be talking next week to a developer of another Twitter app and see how his progress is coming along. So I might even have a list of developers in Twitter apps. I don't know. It just seems weird that this comes along right now. So this is great.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, like you said though, it's very new. It came out in maybe June, so it's very rough around the edges. I get a couple of hours every other night, maybe, to try and build this up. And there's the catch-22 sort of thing. Do I make what I have more well-rounded, or do I go and chase that vision of where I want it to be, and try and add more value for people?
Chase the vision. Chase the vision.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think
number 2, chase the vision. Yes.
Yeah, that is the sort of way I'm going, because I see sometimes people will hit a bug, or they will be on a phone and it won't look as good. But I think if they can see the potential there, they might be willing to overlook some of the rough edges that are there at the moment.
Jim, there is another tool that I kind of like that might do the trick for you. I'll share my screen again. And this is called Rebel Mouse. I would really love to get somebody from Rebel Mouse to come on TGIF and talk a little bit about it. But it's what it does is it pulls in my posts from anything that I've connected to it. So here it's got Google Plus and Twitter and Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn. but you can kind of go here and look at everything that I've been posting about and at a glance kind of see. So in terms of what you were speaking about, this is real hot, are they posting about this right now? You could go to their Rebel Mouse page and see what they've been doing on anything pretty much and what they're posting about. So this just is, it's kind of it's an aggregate, and it just pulls from whatever you're posting to and gives you a nice overview of what they're doing. If you had all your team members on here, you could go and take a look at each of their pages and see what all the things that they're posting about are.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool. It's on my list, but I have to say that Twitter is not the #1 thing that I need to be focused on and saying, I got to learn about that part. I probably will, later in October, November. It's definitely on my list to be finding tools just like you showed, because that has a lot of good potential. And what I would want to do is take that screen that you were looking at, and I would want to just suck the data off of that and put it into my, other list that I keep that's electronic, but I would basically scrape the web page, which means I'd grab the information excuse me, that they put together, and I go, wow, this is the potential of web pages, is if they can aggregate things with a certain logic, you can extend that by using some of the tools I program. That is, scrape that screen and bring it in here, click a button, scrape that screen and add it to that, or subtract.
So would you look at it then, are you talking about taking that and putting it into, for example, a spreadsheet or a report of some kind?
Sure, or a database that has a particular function that works for now, because we all know, in 3 months, I'll be looking at social media differently because it's a learning process. Right. You pick your favorites for now, and then you keep moving because everything in social media keeps moving. So if you can automate these tools, and in this case, what Carl is doing is one of those, let's call it the word aggregator, and it saves you time, but it's just like anything, if you don't understand what the tool is doing, you could get the totally wrong impression, like nobody likes me, when actually people do. So you got to be careful. And I create these extra lists that are more involved in what I'm doing at the moment. But I know in 3 months I won't be using the same tool, so you keep, like Carl said, you keep work in progress, and the vision hopefully keeps moving you toward what's going to be more useful, rather than learning what you know now really well, but you're missing the boat on what's really moving forward. So I think that's why, what Carl's doing here as the visionary can help people come along and become more useful with Rebel Mouse and the other things you do with your Hangout series.
Right. Well, it is already 9:49. This hour goes by so fast. It's amazing. Carl, is there anything else that you want to tell us about Do You Even List before we start saying our goodbyes and last promos? Do you have any promos coming up? You said you have 2 jobs, and so this is part-time for you. Are you looking for feedback for desired features? I mean, I see what the difference you made in just 1 week since the last time I was in there, and I see a lot, you keep saying, oh, it's not ready yet, but I'm like, wow, this is great. Look what you added already. I think it's fantastic.
I'd love to get into a situation where this was my day job. That ultimately is a goal for me to have my own independence, in that respect. We didn't actually look at my other vision. On the dashboard, there's a stream section.
Okay.
And I could talk briefly on that.
Let me go back to there.
It's a bit of a lofty goal that I have, but I'm excited about it.
Okay, so go to dashboard and streams. Okay, view stream.
Yeah, so if we think of, we have our lists, and a stream is almost like if you have these building blocks, then if we put them all together, we have one amalgamated sort of screen that has everything that I'm interested in Twitter. So I'm thinking here you could have multiple lists, maybe your notifications, like if someone favorites you, then you will get that in there as well. So your notifications will come through.
Okay.
And I'm also thinking about putting other things in it, like if you wanted to grow your audience, like I said earlier, I have two other tools. One of them is to find users that you should follow because they align with your interests, and also because they'll follow you back. They could come into this stream when the algorithm finds a person, it could show you the person. So you could have this one place and it does everything you need. You can read the tweets, you can respond to the tweets, but also it can feed you other actionable sort of things to do, like follow this user, or this tweet is really hot right now. In the last 10 minutes, people have been retweeting this tweet like crazy. It's a good tweet to interact with.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like TweetDeck in a way, but with actionable content as well. Things to do, and that's what I really want to get to, like a fully curated, totally sort of personalized feed for yourself, and you with enough tools like the list and the notifications and the follows and the top content that you've got everything you need in the one place. It's because that's what I sort of use. Like, I have a system that does this. It's just it's a bit private and it's a bit just built for me sort of thing.
Well, and I love the presentation here. I'm a visual kind of person, so unfortunately I don't need to do what Jim needs and have it put in a spreadsheet, because those drive me crazy. I like seeing things laid out like this, and which is why I think Pinterest caught on so quickly, and when it did, because people like this kind of visual sort of layout. So
yeah, you can see how it's very Pinterest-like, with its multiple columns, and new tweets will just fall into the top, and new notifications will just fall in. The notifications have a different color. You see on the top of each tweet there's like a gray bar.
Yeah.
On the notification, they'll be like yellow if it's a favorite, green if it's a retweet.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the notifications will almost jump out at you in this stream of tweets and actionable content.
Which brings up a particular thing you might want to jot down and say, oh, that's tough. In Pinterest, when you're looking at a pin, off to the side, they have a miniature view of the board.
Yeah.
And that miniature view is more like an overview, saying, hey, this screen can be seen in a micro map.
Right.
That you understand because of these things floating around. You really kind of know where they are and what they do. And that little overview map that they have off to the side in Pinterest becomes quite valuable once you start using it. You're going, wow, I can go up and down a cluttered board and still see and find things without having to have the full view like you have here. And I don't know if that's really possible or not, but that gives people with a lot of Twitter activity this overview. And I keep looking for, like in TweetDeck, you can line them up. But it would be nice if you could see them in a micro view. I'm going to call it that. And,
that sounds like a great idea. Like you said, if there's a lot of activity, then some of the more important stuff, like a notification, like a reply or a retweet, might have fell off the screen. Right. But if you have that overview,
especially if you color code that little bar, you may be looking for all the red or the yellow or the green bars, and you can see them in a micro view, and you go, well, look at all these I missed because they're down a little further in the stream.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like playing catch.
So I have a question for you, Carl. And that is, are you looking for feedback from users? Do you want people to contact you with feedback and suggestions? Is there a particular place where you want them to do that? I know that the guy that came into our blab was saying, one of the things he was saying was, just because somebody requests it doesn't mean it needs to be in there, but when you get a whole lot of requests, you got to see which ones are the ones that are coming up the most often. Do you have, a certain email address or a certain form where you want people to go to send their feedback?
Yeah, I mean, anyone can contact me on Twitter, which is Carl Hamlet.
Okay.
It's just my name is my Twitter handle, and I'm most responsive there, I think. I'm always on Twitter a couple of times a day. It's probably the quickest way to get a reply out of me. There's also the email address for the Do You Even List, which is hi@doyouevenlist.co. And anyone is free to email me there with any feedback. And I would say I'm a developer with some lofty ambitions. I'm not a marketer, a designer. I'm not a businessman. I'm not an entrepreneur. So at this point in time, I am trying to soak in as much valuable wisdom I can get my hands on. So feedback is really welcome. I will listen to it all, take it in, and just try and make the best decisions that I can.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
great marketing decision would be as if you moved to Denmark to do your business.
All right. Do they have
isn't he close enough?
No, I mean the name Hamlet just goes with Denmark. That's all.
Oh, of course.
Well, Jim, while you're on screen, do you have any promos you want to talk about? Anything coming up that you want to talk about? Any last goodbyes, last words?
I think that would be most valuable in about 4 or 5 weeks when I get some real inventory put in place that people would say, oh, now we know what you're talking about. You can see, touch, and see a sort of a project take shape. And then, of course, around Christmas time, you say, is it still going on? Or have you quit that one, Jim? Are you on to another one? And so we'll find out how the developer side of thing works, going, well, that sounded good. It would just, no, that's all right. Didn't work. I think this is going to be a real good one. So coming up in, I'm going to say November, there will be something I would be able to share. So thank you.
Awesome. And
Sounds good.
I think Sheila went AFK, so we will skip her. Sheila, if you do want to say anything or promo anything, just come back on. In the meantime, my name's Melanie MacDonald. I'm your host. I'm doing TGIF Business Networking Hangouts every first and third Friday monthly. And lately I've been doing blabs as well on the in-between days, the second and fourth Fridays. So with blabs, I don't always have a featured guest. Blabs are a little bit different than Hangouts. They're very easy for people to join in. There's 4 seats only, and it's more about having a conversation, and it's very easy to get that conversation tweeted out on Twitter because Blab integrates really well with Twitter. There's a tweet this button, and usually it's not just the people inside the Blab, but the people who are watching. Anybody who is there can actually press that button and automatically send a tweet out, and they do, so it's really nice. So please check me out over there at blab.im/1Melani, MEILANI. That is my Twitter handle, 1Melani, and Blab works in conjunction with Twitter. So if you'd like to jump in on a Blab, please join me over there. If you'd like to jump in on a Hangout, come back here in 2 weeks, which is the 16th, October 16th. I don't know what the topic is yet, and I'm always looking for great guests to feature. If you have a great topic to talk about, anything that will help a small business owner or a solopreneur to do what it is they want to do to market their business or take their business to market from product idea to product creation, anything along those lines, please contact me. I'd love to feature you on TGIF as an interview. We'll see you then. Thank you for joining. Have a great day and a great weekend, everybody.